welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to chat all about how to actually get to Moraine Lake in Banff National Park. It's one of the most popular lakes to visit in Banff, and in recent years, I think in 2023, Parks Canada closed off the road to personal vehicles, and so now you can no longer drive up to Moraine Lake. So if you're hoping to visit during your trip to Banff, you're gonna have to plan ahead and figure out a way that you are going to get yourself to Moraine Lake. Since it's such a popular spot to visit in Banff, you are most likely going to want to plan ahead and choose the best option for you and your trip for actually getting to Moraine Lake. So today I wanted to kind of just go over all of the different ways that you can get there, because honestly it is a little bit confusing and it takes a little bit to wrap your head around. So at the time of filming, it's February 2025, so this is all of the information that I have currently. Each year Parks Canada seems to change things up a little bit, so for right now this is the most current information, and I assume it wouldn't change that much going into the summer season and into future summer seasons, but if anything, I feel like they would just add more options or adjust times and things like that. The main options you have for going to Moraine Lake in Banff are booking a spot on the Parks Canada shuttle bus, booking a shuttle bus through a different company like Via Moraine Lake, using the method of Roam Transit to get there, which Roam Transit is Banff's public transit system, so it's like the public bus. But in order to get to Moraine Lake, you have to make sure that you buy a specific pass in order to take the correct bus when you're there. And we'll get more into that in that kind of section. And the last option right now is booking a tour company. So if you booked a tour or like a day tour for around Banff National Park, and Moraine Lake is included as one of the stops on that tour. So we'll go through all of those different options, but I will say basically all of those options, no matter what you choose, you're gonna want to book in advance because Moraine Lake is super popular and it's a spot that basically almost all visitors are going to want to visit during their trip to Banff. And I'm assuming you also want to visit since you're watching this video. So just a few other things I wanted to mention before we get into each option is to know that Moraine Lake is closed during a big part of the year. So a big part of the year you cannot actually even go to Moraine Lake through any of these options, and that is from Canadian Thanksgiving, so usually like the second or third weekend of October, I think, all the way up to the end of May or early June. Moraine Lake Road is closed, and that's because it's in an avalanche territory. So some people do go up to Moraine Lake, but they hopefully have avalanche safety training and they are prepared to make the journey up there. It is all uphill and it's like a 14-kilometer road into Moraine Lake, so unless you have cross-country skis and you are trained in avalanche safety training, I wouldn't really recommend going. Also, the lake is frozen, it's super snowy up there, and it's just not really recommended to go in the winter time. So you can book all of these options to go visit Moraine Lake usually between June 1st and the middle of October. Each season, Parks Canada will release the actual dates of opening and when it's going to close, so just check for the season that you're going. But in the recent years, it's been June 1st when it's been opening, and then it closes, the weekend of Canadian Thanksgiving, which is in October. There is a little short window where you could hike or bike up to Moraine Lake before it opens or right after it closes. So right before it opens in June or right after it closes in October. But that really depends on the conditions of the year. I have a blog post that I'll link below on when I rode my bike up to Moraine Lake right before the road opened to vehicles, but you can go check that out if you're interested. And then one other thing, if you have a blue handicap pass, you could drive your personal vehicle up to Moraine Lake, but you have to go through the little check stop before you get up there. And you obviously need to have that pass and have a reason to have that pass. And then the other way that you could drive your personal vehicle up to Moraine Lake is if you are a guest at the Moraine Lake Lodge, which is quite expensive, but if you are a guest there, they'll have instructions and stuff for what to do if you're a guest there. I've never stayed there, so I actually don't really know. Okay, and one last thing before we jump into actually how to get there is just know that a lot of these options can be coupled with a visit to Lake Louise. Moraine Lake and Lake Louise are very close by each other, so if you are not doing a super long day hike, it probably makes sense to visit both Moraine Lake and Lake Louise in the same day, because a lot of these buses and shuttles and things like that will have a stop at both, depending on what you book. So as you're trip planning, just know it would probably make sense to visit both lakes in the same day if you are hoping to see both lakes. Okay, so how to get there. Your first option is through the Parks Canada shuttle bus system. Now, I did a whole video that is probably going to come out next week, if it's not already out yet, about how to actually reserve the Parks Canada shuttle system or reserve a spot on their bus. Things to know, diving way more deep into that Parks Canada shuttle bus system, reservation, seat on the bus, because I talked a lot in that video. There's actually quite a bit to know. I walk you through how to actually book it, things like that. So if you're interested in that, either go watch that video or keep an eye out for it. But the Parks Canada shuttle bus for the 2025 summer season, those tickets are going to be released on April 16th at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, about 40% of those tickets. And the Parks Canada shuttle bus system is basically a shuttle bus that leaves from the Lake Louise Ski Village parking lot, not the Lake Louise Lakeshore, the Lake Louise Ski Village parking lot. You have a seat on that bus when you book your ticket in advance, and that shuttle bus gives you access to both Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. So basically how it works is when you go to book your ticket, you book which lake you're going to go to first. So you will drive your car, park at the Lake Louise Ski Village parking lot, get on your bus within the time window that you booked. Let's say you booked Moraine Lake first. You'll get on that Moraine Lake bus in your time window. It'll take you to Moraine Lake. And then you will hop on the Lake Connector shuttle bus at whatever time you want. It is a first come, first serve system. At that point, you get on that bus. It'll take you to Lake Louise. You'll explore Lake Louise. And then when you're done at Lake Louise, you'll get on the return shuttle bus, hop on the bus. That is also first come, first serve. You don't have a time slot for that bus either, but you do get on with your shuttle bus ticket, and that will take you back to your car at the Lake Louise Ski Village, and then you will continue on wherever you're going next. The Parks Canada shuttle bus also has the option to do an alpine start, so I believe the window of getting on the bus is between 4 and 5 a.m. The one thing about that though is that instead of parking at the Lake Louise Ski Village parking lot, which is free, you have to park at the Lake Louise Lakeshore parking lot, which costs money. It's a per day cost, and right now Parks Canada website has it listed as $36.75 per day per vehicle. However, every year they raise the price. So for 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if they raise the price even more. But that's just for the Alpine Shuttle start. So if you were going to do that one, you would park at Lake Louise Lakeshore, pay the price to park or whatever at their little booth where you go to pay. You register your license plate, and then you're going to get on the Alpine Shuttle there. It'll take you to Moraine Lake. You explore Moraine Lake, and then you get on the first come, first serve shuttle bus back to Lake Louise Lakeshore. So that would be the Lake Connector shuttle bus, explore Lake Louise, and then you would just get in your car and drive away. So this is a popular option because it is ran by Parks Canada, and it is also one of the cheapest options. So adults cost $8 to ride the bus, which is a really great price. Youth 17 and under are free, but you still have to book their seat on the bus. And then seniors that are 65 or older can ride for $4. And that's the round trip ticket price as of February 2025. So it is a really cost affordable way to ride. Some of the cons though is you only have your seat for the bus there. You may end up waiting in line for the Lake Connector shuttle bus, as well as the bus back to your car at the Lake Louise Ski Village Resort where you would have parked to get on the bus. So if you are booking the Parks Canada shuttle bus, I would probably plan to spend a majority of the day there, depending on what you're doing at Moraine Lake and Lake Louise. And then I would have ideas if you have extra time after that on what to do next. But I have heard stories of people waiting hours in line for that Lake Connector shuttle bus and to go back to their car. Hopefully, Parks Canada has figured that out because the Lake Connector shuttle bus runs every 30 minutes. So hopefully it's not too long this season, but you never know. So a little bit of flexibility is required if you're taking the Parks Canada shuttle bus. And again, go watch my other video on that if you are interested in that. The other option, if you are looking for just a shuttle bus, which when I say a shuttle bus, it means taking you there and then bringing you back, not doing any specific tour or anything like that. It's literally just a ride. And so you could book a private shuttle bus as well, or a private shuttle vehicle, I guess. And when I say private, I basically mean not Parks Canada, but a different company. So a spot on these types of shuttle buses or transportation methods, they're usually a lot more expensive, but your seat is usually guaranteed or somewhat guaranteed depending on the company and things like that for going there and going back. Like you're not going to have to wait in an extra long line just to hop on the next bus, because most of these companies you'll book a time to go there and then a time to go home. That could be a pro. That could also be seen as a con, because if you are planning to do a day hike and you're not sure how long it will take, you have to make sure you get back to the bus for your specific time. Otherwise, they can't guarantee you a seat on their bus. As well as there's no cell service up at Moraine Lake or well, I don't know about Lake Louise. I think it's spotty, but at Moraine Lake, there's no cell service. So it's not like you could even call a taxi while you're up there, because your phone probably won't work. So you have to make sure you get back to your bus on time. There are a bunch of different shuttle companies out there. I've personally taken two. One is Via Moraine Lake. I took their shuttle bus up there for sunrise, and it was really awesome. The sunrise shuttle, they gave us blankets because it is cold before the sun rises and even kind of after, and we went in August, still cold in the morning. They also gave us hot chocolate, and he showed us where to go, because when you arrive for sunrise, it is the pitch black. It's super dark out and you can't see anything, and if you've never been to Moraine Lake before, you probably don't know where to go to watch the sunrise. So our particular shuttle driver that day showed us where to go. I kind of knew where to go anyway, but we were just chatting, and yeah, Via Moraine Lake was awesome, super seamless, and they picked us up from downtown Banff. So we got picked up at the Banff railway station because there is free parking there. So what we did was we were camping, and then early in the morning we went and parked at the free train station parking lot, and then that's where Via Moraine Lake picked us up from. They drove us all the way out to Moraine Lake, which is about 45-50 minutes from downtown Banff. We watched the sunrise, had a little bit of time to take pictures, explore after sunrise, and then we hopped back on the shuttle and they took us back and dropped us off back at the train station. They had other pickup areas as well, but the train station worked best for our situation. I've also taken the Moraine Lake Bus Company. That was also a really seamless, nice company to take. They picked us up from the Lake Louise ski resort parking lot as well, that free parking lot. It worked out well for us. Their bus was really roomy. It had nice big windows. The Via Moraine Lake shuttle, when we took it, was more like a van. The Moraine Lake Bus Company was more like a bus, but I have nothing but good things to say about both companies. For the Moraine Lake Bus Company, we picked a time slot. I think we did right in the morning, like 7 in the morning after sunrise, but still quite early. And then we hiked Larch Valley and Sentinel Pass, and then we got back to our bus and they took us back at the time that we had booked, and they took us back to our car, and it was really good. So I highly recommend both of those companies. I will link other companies down below as well. There are, like, I think it's called Fairview Limousines. They're basically just like a shuttle company that will take you, drop you off at Moraine Lake, and then get you back at the time that you ask them to come back for you at. And yeah, there's a couple of companies out there. Moraine Lake Bus Company and Via Moraine Lake are both locally owned. I met the owners of Via. They were super kind, and yeah, you can't go wrong with those, but they are more expensive. So I think they're upwards of $100 per person. I'll link it below because rates change every year. So go to their websites to see the most updated rates for the season that you're going. And I believe I have blog posts on my experience with both of those companies as well. I'll link those below too. Okay. Another option on getting to Moraine Lake is by using Rome Public Transit. Now, this way of getting to Moraine Lake is a little bit more confusing, so just bear with me on this one. This is Banff's public transit system, so it's their public bus. But even though it's the public bus, I would highly recommend booking it in advance, because the pass that you need for Moraine Lake, I'm pretty sure it sells out like really quickly. So if you're planning to do this method, make sure you look at when it's going to go on sale and book that as soon as you can. And this is a great option if you don't have a car, but you still want to go to Moraine Lake. So basically from Rome Transit, you're going to buy something called the Rome Transit Super Pass. So when you go to buy your Rome Transit pass, which you can reserve in advance, you are going to want to upgrade your pass to the Super Pass. So Rome Transit does not have a public bus that goes directly to Moraine Lake, except in the fall. So there is a bus route that you can reserve in advance that will take you straight to Moraine Lake and then straight back, but it's only during the fall season. I'm pretty sure for like 2 weeks in September. So if you're going in September, you can look into this route and plan to reserve. If you follow them on Facebook, I believe, or Instagram, Rome Transit will announce when the seats are going to go on sale, and I would highly recommend booking those in advance, but again, that's only for the fall. Now, if you're looking to go to Moraine Lake with Rome Transit in the summertime, you are going to most likely be leaving from downtown Banff and you are going to reserve a spot on the 8X route to Lake Louise. And now you can reserve that in advance. So that will take you to the Lake Louise lakeshore. Make sure you get off at the lakeshore. Now, if you have the Super Pass, it will let you on the Parks Canada shuttle bus, Lake Connector bus, which is what we talked about as our first option. So the Super Pass with Rome Transit will let you take that first come, first serve Lake Connector Parks Canada shuttle bus from Lake Louise to Moraine Lake, and then from Moraine Lake back to Lake Louise. Again, you cannot reserve a spot on that Lake Connector Parks Canada shuttle bus, but your Rome Super Pass will let you ride it. And then when you're done at Lake Louise / Moraine Lake, because you took the shuttle bus there and back, now you're at Lake Louise Lakeshore, you're going to take the 8X back to downtown Banff, and that is how you take Rome Public Transit there. Now, Rome Transit and the Lake Connector shuttle bus, I believe they start running at 7 a.m. and they stop running, so the last ride is at 7 p.m. Double check the season for the times because they change them sometimes, and I want to make sure you have the most current up-to-date version. But yeah, I'll link Rome Transit information below as well. But if you are hoping to visit for sunrise, you are not going to be able to do that using the Rome Transit bus. Instead, you're going to have to book the Alpine Parks Canada shuttle bus and drive your car to Lake Louise Lakeshore, or you're going to have to book a private shuttle company like Via Moraine Lake because they pick up from the town of Banff, whereas a lot of the other shuttle buses, they pick you up from the Lake Louise ski resort parking lot. So do with that information what you will. Okay. The last option for taking some sort of vehicle to Moraine Lake is by booking a tour company that includes a stop to Moraine Lake on the tour. So I actually haven't done this option yet, but I'm hoping to this upcoming summer season in 2025. But a lot of the tours that I have researched will take you to Moraine Lake as a stop on the tour. So potentially your tour would go to Moraine Lake and then have a quick stop at Lake Louise, and then maybe it'll take you up to Peyto Lake and then back to Banff or something like that. So it's more of a tour to different stops around the national park. These are also usually a bit more pricey because you are driving and going to a lot of different stops. And this will probably give you, if you were hoping to hike, a lot of the tours most likely won't give you enough time to actually hike at Moraine Lake. Usually from what I've seen, the tours will give you about half an hour at each stop in order to make sure you have enough time to get to every stop. So a lot of the times on a tour, you'll only have time to actually explore the lakeshore, take photos. It's still super beautiful, but if you're hiking, I would maybe consider one of the other options. But if you're short on time and hoping to hit multiple stops in Banff in one day, a tour might be the best option because you are guaranteed a spot on your tour bus both there and back, and they'll make sure that they get you to the places that they said they would on the tour. Okay. And then one more kind of option is either walking or riding your bike up to Moraine Lake. You definitely can do this. However, I will just warn you that, again, like I said, it's like a 14-kilometer hill to get to Moraine Lake, and it's all uphill. So if you are walking, you are basically going to be walking up a paved road all the way to Moraine Lake, and then you're gonna have to walk all the way back down. It will take you a good chunk of time. If you're riding your bike, again, you're gonna have to ride your bike up a huge hill and then ride your bike down. And Moraine Lake Road, there's not really a shoulder on the road, and it is quite windy. So if there are ginormous buses going up and down this hill, it could get kind of dangerous. Being a pedestrian on this hill or riding your bike, especially when you're coming down on a bike, because you fly. I rode my bike up there one year and then I rode down, and it was before the road was open to cars, so it was a lot safer. I wasn't gonna shoot around a corner and get hit by a bus or have a bus shoot around the corner and hit me, but it is an option. If you are planning to do this, I would try and do it before the road opens to cars or after it closes, as long as the conditions are safe. There's not snow or avalanche risk. If you are going to be biking or walking in the dark, I would get some sort of reflector just in case those cars are driving, because again, if the road is open to cars and shuttles, they will be going up for sunrise. If you're gonna ride a bike, I would highly encourage you to get an e-bike. It will make it 100 times easier. I basically pushed my bike up the hill because, yeah, it's all uphill. But yeah, I'll link my blog post about when I rode my bike up the road. But again, just be safe about this, and it will take a majority of the day. So make sure you plan for that as well. So I'll link a ton of information down below. I'll link my other video that I did deep diving into the Parks Canada shuttle bus. I'll link some blog posts. I'll link some tour companies. Some of them might be affiliate, which means if you book with that link, I will get a small percentage of the sale, but it's the same price whether you book through my link or through not my link. So thanks for supporting me if you booked through my link. Hopefully this was helpful in how to actually get to Moraine Lake. I could talk about Moraine Lake forever. I love Moraine Lake. I definitely think it's worth it. I definitely think it's worth the pre-planning. Each way to get to Moraine Lake has its pros and cons depending on your time, your flexibility, your budget, what you want to actually do at Moraine Lake. Let me know if you have any questions about visiting Moraine Lake or just going to Banff in general. I'm hoping to make a bunch of other videos on visiting Banff and the Canadian Rockies in general. So let me know if you have any questions. Follow me on Instagram if you want to. And yeah, I hope you enjoy Moraine Lake and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.